So healthcare is very expensive, and we have a set revenue for our country. And we have health issues that are only increasing. You know, part of this is the environment. You know, the environment is a health issue, and we are exposed to toxins in our air, in our water, in our land. It comes to us through the food we eat, through the water we drink, through the upholstery we sit on. You name it, our immune systems are inundated. It's now resulting in people, women with no history of breast cancer being at risk for breast cancer, men with no history of prostate cancer being at risk for prostate cancer. So the Green Party believes an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and we need to clean up the environment so that we're not exposed to these unwanted toxins and chemicals in the first place that is going to contribute to this long-term chronic healthcare issue. Secondly, again, you know, this is my favorite thing about the Green Party is efficiency. You think high efficiency, you think of fridges and stoves that are high efficiency, they're green, they're inexpensive, but, or they're not, they're more expensive, but they do a lot, and over the long run, you get more bang for your buck, and the same applies with our healthcare system. We need to just be smarter about how we're spending our money. We need fewer bureaucrats and more beds.
Thank you. Ms. Patchell, you may go ahead.
Well, actually, the demands on our healthcare system are going to grow because of the aging population. That's entirely correct. But it doesn't have to be more expensive all the time. What we do have to do is become more efficient. The NDP is proposing that we would make long-term care and home care insurable under the Federal Health Care Act. And in fact, it costs $250 a day to take care of someone in their home. It costs much more to take care of them in the hospital, and somewhere in the middle for long-term care. So it's about being efficient. It's about using services that people need and giving them choices, actually. The other point I'd like to make is that in the interest of efficiency, we're seeing doctors' practices evolve. We're seeing doctors starting to work in teams. So we don't always need to see a doctor. Sometimes there are other healthcare professionals that we need to see, and we need to allocate resources so that people are always seeing what they need to see. Maybe a nurse practitioner this time rather than a doctor. So we'll be more efficient. We need more training spaces for doctors and nurses, but we need more healthcare workers quickly. And so we have to speed up the accreditation process of foreign-trained health professionals. And as well, we're going to supply an incentive for Canadian doctors who are practicing abroad to come back to Canada. I also think that we need to recruit people from rural areas to work if we want people to go back to rural areas when they're finished medical school, nursing, whatever. So I think our recruiting practices have to change, and maybe the structure of the actual programs to encourage them to go back.
Thank you, Ms. Patchell. Mr. Karvgiannis.
Thank you. I'd like to you know, it's a real shame that our Conservative individual is not here for him to stand up and defend some of the stuff that has been said, that Harper has said. And I'm going to quote Stephen Harper, when he was the Vice President of the National Citizens Coalition, says it's past time the Fed scrapped the Canada Health Act. Again, Stephen Harper, 2001. What we clearly need is experimentation with market reforms and private delivery options in healthcare. This is the philosophy of the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party believes that if you got this, you're in front of the line. I'm always a strong believer that if you got this, a health card, you should be equal in line. No ifs, ands, or buts. You shouldn't have to pay for health care in this country. It was the Liberal government that bought universal health care for everybody. However, one of the things that we must do, health care, is partnership. We have to work together. The Liberal government is committed to working with provincial officials, doctors, nurses, patients, seniors, and other healthcare professionals in developing innovative public solutions. In 5 years in government, the Conservative government, Harper Conservative government, has ignored pressing issues, choosing to let healthcare costs spiral out of control without taking any action on preventive care or relieving stress on acute healthcare systems. All of a sudden, when we start talking healthcare, whoa, me too, me too. Well, in 4 years, you're going to have to sign in accord with the provinces again. In 2004, there were $10 billion that were put. In 4 years, you're going to have to go back to the negotiating table. And he says, I want to buy planes. I want to spend $30 billion in buying planes, $130 million per plane, without the engines, without having made a fair deal on them, without knowing where these planes are going to come. Healthcare is paramount. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Thank you. Well,
just one thing is that we know that money is very important for healthcare, but also the practice too. For example, code of practice of the doctors, when you mention about doctors' practices, for example, like bioethics. For example, I think one of the things is that how about when the senior is getting too ill, and then you think of euthanasia or abortion for those and so on. So I'd like to know your stance on these issues, like abortion, euthanasia.
Well, the Green Party does support living wills, that it be, the choice of the person with an illness to either refuse or accept treatment.
That's pro-choice.
It's pro-choice in terms of, do I want to prolong my life with this medication or not? That's their choice. They have that right to make that decision for themselves.
I think we have a double question, and also pro-life, which means where does life start? That's your other choice. I don't think this was answered.
Yeah, it's either whether you're pro-choice or pro-life.
In the issue of
terms
abortion or
abortions,
euthanasia?
Both,
Okay.
if you can express your stance.
Definitely pro-choice.
Ms. Patchell, do you have any comment?
Yes, I do. I have no objection to somebody choosing to not have life support anymore. I mean, people are kept alive artificially through technology quite often. So I would support the ability for people to make choices, as well as I would support the ability for women to make choices in the issue of abortion. No question.
Let's make it clear, perfectly clear. Life doesn't start at birth. Life doesn't start 5 minutes before birth. Life doesn't start 3 months before birth. In my view, life starts at conception. According to some people that want to have an abortion, they can say, well, we can have an abortion until 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 6 months or 3 months before the birth. Life starts at conception. And if you choose to bear the life, as well as a man or a woman, and support that life, you should start it right from day one. When you learn that your wife is pregnant, or as a woman that you learn that's pregnant, that life is treasure. That life is, most of all, paramount. I have 5 kids. I treasure every one of them. I can't pick and choose which finger I break. This one, that one, that one, that one, or that one. I can't choose which finger to cut. All fingers are equal. When it comes to euthanasia, I've got parents that are elderly. No ifs, ands, or buts will I support snuffing away their life. No ifs, ands, or buts will I ever vote to support such a bill. So this is a clear choice that the viewers have.
So you're pro-life.
No ifs, ands, or buts. Supported by Campaign Life, endorsed by Campaign Life, no ifs, ands, or buts. Life starts at conception. No deviation. However, if that life threatens the mother's life, then a choice has to be made.
Ms. Patchell, would you like to speak?
I would. I don't think of euthanasia in terms of snuffing out my parents' lives. I do think of it in terms that I could give instructions to my kids that, for example, just one example, I might choose, if I can't breathe on my own, then I would not want to be put on a breathing tube. Those are the kind of choices that we're talking about. It isn't about snuffing people's lives out. And keep in mind also, I mean, it's a very gray area. Medicine keeps people alive long past, sometimes, in some situations, where they would be alive naturally. So,
if I have a choice of having my family alive, and
well, the question is, will you make your choice for your parents, or will they make the choice for themselves?
The choice that my parents will make, and I will make also with them, is that they stay alive as long as they can in order for me to be able to enjoy them every last minute, every last breath that they take.
Pauline Thompson, would you like to speak?
Well, I'm definitely for living wills and for people being able to choose for themselves their outcome based on their health issue. And in terms of abortion, I think there are many, many circumstances where it's not just strictly about the health of the mother and whether her life would be in jeopardy to carry forth the pregnancy. She could be a victim of rape. She could be a victim of incest. And these are situations where a woman would need access to her right to abort.
Just to be clear, Jim, the positions that you take on these issues are not the positions of your party, are they?
These are personal positions.
Okay.
I know that, your party has the position, everybody has to support. And when one candidate chose not to support that position, Bev Desjardins was kicked out.
Actually, our party doesn't have that. But I just want to clarify whether that was the Liberal...
No, this is personal
I just want to know if it
position,
was your
and the
personal
Liberal Party
position. Fair
has
enough.
the freedom for people to choose. Unlike the Conservative Party that preaches one thing, and then they turn around when they come into Parliament and allows their members. We have the freedom to choose, and we choose.
Thank you. So this is it for this round, and we'll start again.